What's going on, Cancer? I welcome the divinity in you, and welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and I hope you're ready to go tackle the world, ready to go on an adventure. The moon's in Sagittarius. We're gonna turn misfortune into fortune. Just bringing that Jupiterian energy. I'm with it. And if this is your first time meeting, welcome again. My name is Justin, and know that when you're coming across this video, you're in sync with the moon, and she loves that. And on this channel, this channel is for those of you who have Cancer in your placement. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Jupiter, wherever, this is for you. Or if you just want to get more in sync with the moon, want to get, because the moon is all she's bringing that manifestation power. This is for you too. And I do tarot card spreads based upon ruler here, the good old moon. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, and when she's going void, of course, is all those lunar shenanigans. And just so y'all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what fits into your story, discard the rest, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it. Alrighty. Alright, Cancer, your space has been cleansed. Crystals, feeling lovely. Just great energy all around here. And depending on when you're watching this, okay, I understand all this big energy I'm bringing. Happy Mars Day. Mars is associated with Tuesdays, and this could be a great day if you want to. Mars days are one of my workout days. So this could be if you're looking to get into a routine. Mars can bring about that extra energy for you. I try to even time it around a Mars hour. Oof. Those are usually some good workouts. But this could also be a great time too if you just need a little extra energy for, maybe scheduled around like a Saturn day. Maybe there's been some things that you've been putting off that you need a little extra energy for. Maybe you need to do some rearranging around the house. Maybe you need to do some stuff in the garage. Maybe doing some yard work, something along those lines. That could be great for that. With Mars being in Gemini right now, this could be something where you could be learning a new type of skill, especially with Jupiter and Mars, coming up on being. So I think their conjunction is today. If not today, it's within the next day, probably in the next couple hours. But I think it's happening today. But this could be, where do you want to expand your knowledge, where you may have seen a side of yourself where it's like, I'm really bringing it on this aspect of life, but here, I've really been neglecting this side of things, and I'm really wanting to get more secure here. That Mars and Gemini energy could give you that fuel to learn these new things here. So, and with Mercury being retrograde, reflecting on, and while we're talking about that, putting things towards what you value, I feel like it's going to be important, especially things that light you up, because on Mercury Day, the 14th of August, Mercury retrograde is going to enter back into Leo at about 5:16 p.m. and that's Pacific time. And when we're thinking about that Leo energy, Leo is that, think about your gifts, that solar energy, your light, and with Leo being fixed fire, where do you want to put your energy towards? Where do you want to put that life force into? The things that you want to see come to fruition. What is that inner truth, that higher knowing? This is Mercury's forming this is getting ready to form, this inferior conjunction here soon with the sun. So really be kind of looking back over these degrees that Mercury is covering. They're going back from 4 degrees of Virgo to about 21 degrees of Leo. So if you have any planets or points that would be forming any aspects with those signs, especially would want to look at any sort of like conjunctions or any sort of like squares, maybe even some oppositions, trines, sextiles, things along those lines, then you want to, then this energy is working with you more closely. You can put more intention power behind it. This is actually, for me, this is now Mercury's getting ready to go back over my Venus placement and over my Mars placement. So, I'm really been kind of thinking about, what are some other areas as far as this new project that I'm getting ready to start up here, as far as some other things as well. I want to do some things where I'm kind of working on my appearance, kind of investing in, I could have did better with this shirt. Investing in my appearance and things things along those lines, because this is now going back into my first house. I've even been thinking about, like, this is more so kind of a long-term one. I'm wanting to even start investing in like a speech class or something like that, something to kind of help accentuate more of this kind of Leo charisma that I happen to have in all my that emphasize my kind of packed first house there. So these are just some ways that you can think about how to work with these energies, this retrograde that's coming up. But just some little extra stuff that I'd like to talk about, any sort of like big planetary, especially like planets moving between, when they're changing through new signs and things. Those are important ones to kind of mark there. Now let's get into the lunar energies, because she's getting ready to change signs. Depending on when you're watching this, the moon is going to be entering into Sagittarius at about 3 a.m. And again, that's Pacific time. And she's in a waxing gibbous phase. And the waxing phase, oh, that was weird. The waxing phases are when... I'm thinking about this in a broader term, sure, there's some, I feel like some smaller ideas that produce during the month of the Leo cycle, but I feel there are some bigger ones that pop up here, and we'll check back in again, with that Leo new moon. Let's see, when do we check back in on that one again? We'll check back in on that one, on that intentions that you set down there around May 4th of 2025. So write these things down, write these intentions, have a place where you can look back on these dates to see where you're at with that on these kind of larger cycles of life here when we're thinking about working with the moon. But the waxing phases is where things are starting to increase. And with the waxing gibbous, that's where the moon will be around the time she'd be forming that trine energy with the sun. And so there's that Jupiter effect, a lot of Jupiter energy here that's coming into that. Thanks to myself. And so we have a lot of opportunities for growth and expansion. And I do feel like this is going to be a busy couple of days that the moon is in Sagittarius. She's going to be forming 7 aspects in total, both, one of them beginning, or it all beginning with Mercury with the square and then ending with Mercury on that trine aspect that I was talking about. So we'll get into that when I talk about the void of course. But when you have the moon in Sagittarius, the moon is how we nourish ourselves, how we take care of this body, how we take our ideas and bring them into life. It's a very, the sun, moon, and the ascendant sign or the rising sign are really, that's why they're such a key thing. The moon takes the light from the sun, that higher mind, that creative mind, and helps us to disseminate that energy into the ascendant so that we can transfer that outside of ourselves. And that's where we get, every time we get to these new moon phases, that is how our solar energy looks outside of what that intention that we set. So that's how it's like working with these cycles can be so beneficial in this growth. But in Sagittarius, being Jupiter ruled, they are about that expansion, that growth. But interestingly enough, Sagittarius in the Themamundi chart, which is like the chart that the points where they saw the planets right at the beginning of the universe, Sagittarius is located in the 6th house, which is interesting because that's what considered one of the more tougher houses, what considered the quote-unquote bad house, or one of the bad houses, because it's the 6th house dealt with illnesses, it dealt with war, military, that was a house of servitude, jobs, small service animals, pets as service animals, talking dogs, cats, pigs, goats, and things along those lines. And what else? Just like really, and just really, just a house that Mars rejoices in. So when you have a mutable fire sign like Sagittarius, in that house, I think it's very interesting because when you think of fire, that's how that drive in the mutable energy is always changing things. So you could take that, you could see it as Jupiter is gifting Sagittarius the gift to turn misfortune into fortune. You could see that as, that's where I think, for example, why Sagittarius is such a generous sign, whether that be with their actual resources. I tell you, fire signs are always very generous. All of them, I find especially with like the sun placements for sure. But yeah, if you got a lot of fire, I find that fire signs are some of the biggest givers. And Sagittarius, whether they're giving of their time, of their resources, of their knowledge, I feel it's because they've had that experience through life. They get up. Life is like a battlefield in a sense. It's like they get up and it's just like, you chose me life. life? How did you know I was ready to to tackle today? You know, there's this optimism that's kind of infectious with Sagittarius, because it's just like, with everything that's going on, it's just like, how do you stay upbeat? You know, and when you think about some of the Sagittarians I know have gone through some, you know, some pretty tough experiences, and you do kind of wonder, like, how is it that you are able to get out of bed? Because yeah, some of the stuff you would hear is just like, my goodness. But that just, I feel like, is a testament to their strength as well, and that they'll be, I feel like that's where wherever they go, they bring this good fortune, because there is this experience and this understanding. It's like, either I let this defeat me and I just give up, or I change with the times here. You know, I change with whatever curveballs life throws at me. I'm like, okay, they're constantly turning lemons into lemonade. So, and it tastes different on each day. You know, that's the thing about life too. It's not about being perfect in this. It's all about the experience. Is about growing with Sagittarius here. So I feel this over these next couple of days, while the moon is here, looking for how you do tackle life. You know, how do you get prepped for life? You know, both in how you're taking care of your health, being mindful of how you're expending your energies, because I do feel with Sagittarius, even though they do have a lot to give, you know, they can, again, Big Papa's fueling them. They can go a lot, but you can't outrun misfortune. And that even means illnesses. The body's going to do what it's going to do, and it's going to get tired sometimes. It's going to get sick sometimes if we're not properly taking care of that maintenance. So it's not just all about Sagittarius kind of like taking care of and raising everybody else's vibration. It's allowing them to be able to be receptive to that too. So that's something I feel like to even kind of pay attention, where maybe you've been kind of overgiving as opposed to you know, or overgiving and not and receiving the same. Because the sixth house too, not that they're going to be enemies there, but it can be the house of enemies as well. So people who may be, whether consciously or unconsciously, kind of taking advantage. So just kind of some things to keep in mind of there. But you know, overall, I do feel that this is a nice energy, because it gets us out of that, when we're in that more kind of fixed energy of Scorpio. This helps us to transmute that into something else, to get ready to start something else once we move to Capricorn, you know, and get ready to initiate that cardinal earth energy. But now, if your moon is in Sagittarius, this is one type. I always find that the moon in Sagittarius is a very fun moon, one that does kind of bring this joy, that does have this optimism. And if you want to see how your moon placement is functioning, one thing you want to look, especially if you have it outside of the native home of Cancer, you want to look to the dispositor of that moon to see how the planet, how the domicile lord is doing for that. So yours would be Jupiter. So you want to pay attention to see how's Big Papa doing. Is there any sort of like, is he getting a lot of aspects from the malefics, you know, or is he getting a lot of is Venus is in the mix? How is that looking? So, you know, and how is it in aspect to the moon, to the sun, you know, just kind of all of those things. Is Jupiter in detriment, you know, in Gemini? Is it strong in Sagittarius? You know, is your moon and Jupiter conjunct in Sag? That would be something. But making sure too, I feel like the moon in Sag, again, just not making sure to spread yourself too thin. There could be a lot of energy in wanting to just always be active, but you have to be, I would not have to, but I think sometimes Sagittarius can get that view of they always have to be moving, always have to be kind of traveling or something along those lines. And I do agree that the energy does need to move, but you can move energy through reading a book. You know, this could be you through maybe watching something, some kind of documentary or something where you're learning watching a video or something along those lines. Sagittarius is a very, very intelligent sign. So, you know, doing things to just kind of expand your world a little bit. I feel that could be a very great way of working with the moon in Sagittarius. And yeah, just I feel like being active kind of helps. Anything to kind of help that, just again, that energy kind of move. But now on Jupiter Day, the 15th of August, we're going to be entering into the void of course time. Now this is going to be a very short one, because like I was saying, the moon's going to be talking with all of we're going to be making 7 aspects, and so it's going to be from 9:50 a.m. to about 10:50 a.m. So we're only going to have like a 59-minute void of course, but the aspect that's going to be flavoring this void of course is a trine with that Mercury retrograde. And so I feel that there is an opportunity here here to change something up, to change a routine, or to change a way that maybe you've been viewing some things, that maybe you've been pouring your energy into one thing and now you're ready to move it to somewhere else. You know, even though it's Mercury's in that fixed sign of Leo, we're still in that mutable fire. So it can kind of help move that. It's almost like you're taking the campfire and it's like I feel like you're kind of like putting the shovel and we're just kind of shifting it here now. It may not be the cleanest transition, but at least it's like something, you know, and then we can just tend to it and build it back up again. But the void of course time is usually when the moon forms her final aspect with celestial body and she's just kind of roaming the void. This is a time where there's no energy, a time to rest, a time to, you know, because there may have been a lot of feelings that have been coming up. Maybe if, you know, when I'm thinking with Sag being associated with that sixth house too, there may not necessarily be like this misfortune is all on you. It may be helping to move the misfortunes of others, that in taking on the plights of others, taking on this causes of everyone else's things, and that may be potentially burning you out. So this is a time where you don't want to just kind of give yourself a break, especially if you've been feeling kind of spread very thin during these days, because the energies are starting to pick up as we're getting closer to this new moon. We have a lot of impending conversations that are coming up, you know, these conjunctions, a lot of squares, which means a lot of action, a lot, you know, a couple of opposition. So, you know, there's going to be this constriction, this tension. But, you know, if we're foreseeing these things, we can get our energies prepped for this stuff. It doesn't anything we need to get all tensed about. It's like, okay, you know what, I'm going to make sure to allow myself some extra time to maybe get some extra rest, to get some extra meditation, to just hang out with my family a little bit more, to just kind of take like, hey, let's just kind of tune into the day. You know what I mean? So, but the void, of course, also too is a great time for just kind of wrapping things up. Not really a great time for starting things, but I would say definitely give yourself that hour if you have that available, or if you just take like 5 minutes just to do some deep breathing, something along those lines. You know, listen to some music that kind of calms you, that gets you centered, gets you relaxed, and just kind of tending to get your energies in sorts there. Just something to keep in mind of there. And if you're wanting to work with your energies a little more personally, want to do some real cool lunar work, I have one of the things you can do is join this new lunar, or this new group that I started. It's called We Come Kick It With Me at the Lunar Mansion, and it's where we work with the moon cycle very intentionally. We meet up once. You sign up and we work over a 27-month cycle, and we're starting with the new moon. Then we go to the first quarter moon, and then another 9 months, and it includes a whole bunch of things there. They're going to include some videos that I'm going to just have available for people if they just say, I'm getting that all kind of figured out right now, the little details for things, but signups are now available. The class is going to start on the 2nd of September. So I have signups for that there. And if more people sign up and we're wanting to like kind of expand the classes, then I'll absolutely open up more classes or more kind of groups as things kind of go on. But if you have any questions about that, wanting to learn more about those informations, I have links down in the description box below to sign up for the thing, and also to book a free consultation call down with me. And it's all through kind of a Calendly link. So definitely check that out if you have any questions on that. But otherwise, I think that's all I got to tell you on this stuff here. So let's get into the tarot. Last little bit, these readings that I do, they're not gender-specific readings. So apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situation. But let's talk about source. You got the source dragon here. Look at that infinity sign there, your energy getting into the flow. And this is a card that attunes you to the infinite. And it says, be still. In the silence, magic can happen. Be in the moment. You know, I do feel with all of this, you know, with how I was saying, I feel like there's going to be a lot of kind of back and forth, kind of like ebbing and flowing with the energies. And I feel with this, you know, when you find yourself again kind of pulled to and fro, a great thing to try is just to, okay, let me be still for a minute. You know, why are all these, you know, instead of like being in the state of reaction, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, let me be in the present. What is actually important for me right now? You know, like, okay, you know, I hear about all these impending things, but you know what? That hasn't come to fruition yet. And you know what? It can change if I start changing my energies, if I start shifting where I want to go here. It's being in the flow, I feel, of where you want to go. You know, what kind of Well, word I want to say is galaxy, but what kind of future that you're trying to create? I feel like it's trying to bring this down a little bit more to earth here, but I do also think that in the silence, magic can happen. Sagittarius is the archer. You look at their glyph. Even is this arrow that's pointing in this direction here. Just like I feel like it's like just kind of aimed at source. We're just kind of jumping into the battle here. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get through today, but I know that it's like almost like what kind of things do you have any sort of like maybe even like kind of affirmations or kind of like mantras that can help you get through your day. Maybe you have a certain tea that you carry with you, or maybe you have a certain playlist that you listen into that gets you into a certain groove. Or I feel like that's going to be something that's really important. Being around people, I feel too, that are uplifting energies as opposed to those that are in that different. Because sometimes people refer to Sagittarius as a wildfire, and I feel like Sagittarius is meant to be more kind of like a bonfire, something that brings all walks of life together, because we're all celebrating in this shared thing here, which we're all kind of growing. That's, I think, Sagittarius too kind of reminds us that we all are going through the same experience. Granted, it's different in varying degrees, of course, but collectively, we're all on a rudimentary level. We're going through the same stuff. And I feel like if we can be still with that, be in the moment with that, we can harmonize a bit easier here. Is what I'm kind of getting with this. But let's attune to the infinite. Let's get some tarot on this and get some details. Ooh, look at that. All right, we got a lot. Thanks, Divine Self. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, we do got interesting. Okay. Whoo, Major Arcana City. All right, I wasn't kidding. We're tuned into the infinite. Source is calling. Are you ready to answer? You ready to answer, Cancer? Because you have the Hermit, the Lovers, and the Ten of Swords in reverse. And then you have the Strength card, Leo, and the Lovers is Gemini. The Hermit is Virgo, the Fool, Uranus, and then the Star here, Aquarius. Let's start with the Star. The Star, the Star is a healing energy. I feel like we do find a lot of our healing when we do tune into Source. When we're tuning into that, and then, to that inner quiet, when we allow ourselves some space for peace. This Hermit card here is giving me this. Look at this. The Star card's napping. This Hermit card here it's giving me this. Just like, when was the last time you had a moment that you allowed yourself a moment? Like even from your phone. I feel like sometimes we can. You know what? Even because I'm even thinking about some stuff that I do. I like when I'm working with my moon placement, when I'm wanting to like kind of nurture myself and think. I do a lot of reading. I read a whole bunch. I'm either reading something or I'm listening to something. I'm learning something, and I could even get into that where it's just like, when was the last time I just got quiet? Just kind of got quiet for a little bit, and just sort of let that things just sort of disseminate a little bit. Like, where am I trying to go next? Where are we trying to go next? Just thinking with the Fool being here. Where's this future taking you? Where's Source trying to take you? Have you had a moment to really kind of ask yourself, or have you just been has it been a wildfire? Have you just been kind of running away from these things? Or, and almost feel like with the Lovers being here, it's almost like we've been kind of pulled in this thing, that there hasn't been a choice in the mix. And maybe that's felt like the case. Maybe you do have certain obligations. Maybe you're tending to someone who's sick. Maybe you are a parent. Maybe maybe you have your own sort of things that you can't do stuff here that's requiring all of this strength, that's requiring all of these things. But I feel that, it's always interesting when we're in real kind of times of stress where we say, like, we want a minute, we need a minute, but we won't allow ourselves a minute. And it's just like, if you can't allow, I remember someone telling me not too long ago. They're just like, I don't have time to have an emotional breakdown. I was like, yeah, you do. You better find some time, because what's gonna happen is, if you don't find it, it's gonna find you. And I don't mean that in a way that's meant to be frightening or anything. It's just like, when you keep all that stuff bottled up, and we learned that during Scorpio. If we keep things bottled up, then it's just going to work against us, and then it's just going to, it's just going to keep us stuck, keep us stagnant. But this Ten of Swords here is, I feel, seeing the other side of this. What happened if I did take a minute and just kind of caught myself and just took a nap? Whatever this thing is you're needing to do, then maybe when I wake up and kind of get back and gain some strength, I can see a different perspective here. I can see that, all right, you know what? I have been digging myself a hole here with the Ten of Swords. This is the Sun in Gemini, but we're not just focusing on one aspect, just on how things have been just not been working. It's like, okay, I've been spiraling, I've been digging a hole. Now I'm ready to ascend. I'm ready to start coming back up again. Get your choice back with this Lovers. Connect with this source again. And I feel like there's a lot of this. There can be a lot of things. I remember, especially like kind of first like getting into like really really digging into astrology, where it's like sometimes I look back at some things and it's just like, man, if I was only present during that transit, I could have did this and did that and did this. You can almost get that fear of missing out, and then you kind of like look to the future and it's like, oh my gosh, I got to jump this wave, I got to jump that wave and jump that wave. It's like, you know what? Sometimes it can be too much, and I don't mean just in like astrology. I mean even from like you think about different life coaches, different all the stuff. We're in a very information kind of heavy tone right now. And people trying to say like, oh, you need to jump this way, you need to do that way. And I feel like it's listening to you. It's what choices do you want to make. I feel like that's a very, very important message that I've been personally kind of wanting to just kind of push home through here. If you need a break from everybody else, be quiet, like put everybody else on mute, for a while. And just take a minute and gather yourself. Allow the energies to disseminate, and so you can figure out where to work to next. Let's get some more on this. And keep the faith too. I feel like I was saying with Sag, because even though Sag is located in that house according to ancient standards, their ruler is Big Papa. It's still Jupiter, and it is still Jupiter. And even though he's a benefic, it could still, depending on what's going on with you, it could be a bit tougher to find that hope, that faith, but it's not impossible. Jupiter will still deliver as best as he can. Jupiter can still do a lot, even when he's in a tough spot. I mean, look at what he's doing. Look what's going on right now. He's in Gemini, the opposite sign of Sag, but there's still ways to expand. But it's seeing it from. Oh, we got a lot of swords here. We're thinking a lot. Oh, interesting. Thanks, Divine Self. Let's talk about this. I like that though. Because you got the Devil in reverse, that's Capricorn, and then you have the Two of Swords, the Seven of Swords, and the Eight of Swords here. Now this Seven of Swords, that's interesting. I'm getting a message of like words are powerful. Even like words can kill. Like it can kill a dream. It could kill something. It can kill the energy. It can really keep you down here with the Seven of Swords. I feel like there's another way though. There's always another way of doing things. I'm even getting there's this fear mongering even here, like more so on operating from this place of fear. The Seven of Swords has gotten this thing of like this lies too, but I only think it's like, I don't think it's necessarily meant to be super heavy. Like when I think about the Seven of Swords, I think it's just like we're only seeing one way of doing a thing. This is the Seven of Swords is the moon in Aquarius, and I feel like there's another way of doing something. It may bring a bit of stress. We may not understand it, but I might need to get a little bit more on that one. Let me go to this Eight of Swords before I get into that, because the Eight of Swords here, this can feel like you're stuck somewhere. You know, it's so interesting. This cat here, it's just water, you know, that is going on, but the cat is looking at it like there's daggers that are falling from the sky. And I feel like there's something here with the mindset, couple that with the devil being in reverse, you know, tapping into your inner truth. I think we were talking about that yesterday a little bit, or not yesterday, but when the moon was in Scorpio. Something about this inner truth here, seeing something that is, it's like, you know, a truth. Let me get something with the Seven of Swords. Let me get a clarify with that before I can get. Let's see if I can find the words for that. Oh, okay, interesting. All right, so the Seven of Swords is so interesting. So Seven of Swords is cut by the Six of Swords, the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Swords, and the Hanged Man here. And so the Seven of Swords, again, there's another perspective that's coming in and needing to see something from a different view, but it's only, I feel, going to happen when we're coming from there's a sharpness here, a discernment that the Queen of Swords is bringing. She sees things from a very high perspective. You really can't. She's not one you can pull a fast one on, and I feel there's this very clear-sightedness that's happening here. The Knight of Cups is going towards your heart, listening to your passion, listening to the things, but it's like I feel like you can only find that direction when you get to your own It's like you can find this direction and you can get out of this thing the other thing that I'm getting is like there's more than one way to get out of something. You know, but it's gonna be an inner knowing. It's gonna be something that you're gonna have to call on your skills, and then it's like what you're bringing to that other people can maybe help that help. It's like you gotta give something, like source something to work with. It's like we're wanting to fix something. And it's like I'm not quite sure what that is. You gotta apply it to what your situation. But I think I'm gonna move on from that. Let's get a little advice from Big Papa. All right, last little bit here. All right, so you have one of the special cards in this deck, the Grimalkin card here, and upright, and then you have the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. And before I switch back over, okay, yeah, that's one. That's a hold on. Let me switch back over there. This is not one this is a deck I don't use that often. So I was like, ooh, I forgot they got like two special ones in here. But the Grimalkin card. And that's interesting. Kind of coupled with the Ten of Pentacles. It's like, you may have this, I think this was happening with this Jupiter and Saturn square. It's like there's something, like maybe you got an idea that's coming up, or maybe there's something here that's kind of forming, that it doesn't have this clear foundation. And this Grimalkin card is this being patient with the process, allowing things to unfold as they are. Allow yourself to be still, hear what the message is, and then just trust that. You don't have to, and you don't. It's like, listen, you always have a choice in this. Even when you're working with source, you don't have to listen to that intuition. You've there are times you've done it. But I think that there's something here about not forcing something. We're in a time of needing to be a little flexible right now, especially with the moon's in there's just a lot of mutable energy right now. The only one that's fixed is the sun. And so that's why I feel like the source energy is really strong right now, being, the sun's in Leo. So with all of these changes in things, there is a lot of uncertainty right now. The pieces are falling together, but that doesn't mean that you can't be doing things. It's just like, where's your focus at? Again, this is where you got to listen to you and where you're wanting to go, as opposed to maybe where other people feel like you have to go, kind of, instead of like following the crowd here. That's, okay. But I think that's all I got. That's all I got for that there. So just some things interesting, just some things to think about. But if you like that, or if anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and share this thing if you know someone who can get some little useful nuggets from this. And then subscribe there, you devil. You hit that bell button, you get notified when I release videos each day. And then last few things, again, if you want to join join the Lunar Mansion. I'm trying to figure out, it's like the group is called the Lunar Mansion, but it's like, do you want to join the Lunar Mansion? I'm trying to figure out how that goes. You see, all works in progress. Mercury retrograde, we're still building stuff up. But yes, my lunar group, the Lunar Mansion. Come join that. It's going to be a great time. I guess I send all types of stuff there. And again, if you have any questions about how this works, about, which lunar cycle do I pick, or which ones do I know to work with? I already got you. I got you. So, and then also, if you want to go over to my other channel, Alchemist 8, that's down in the description box, where I do videos on the weekly transits with the other celestial bodies, Big Papa including. We just talked about what that chit chat's going on there. Actually, this next one's going to be a pretty big week. We got that week of the moon, the full moon's right around the corner. So we're about a little less than a week. So gonna be some interesting energies. I'm excited though. I feel like it's a time where we can get things moving. It doesn't. I only say interesting just because it's just a mix. The conversations I feel have been slightly like, and it's like, no. I feel like it's only if you don't have an intention. It's like, okay, like you hear this wave coming. What do I want to be doing during this wave? Where is this coming up in my life right now? Look to your chart. This is not to be just throwing out points and things where it's like, okay, Mercury's going to be retrograding back into my Leo house. What does that mean? Like, where does it say, okay, I know what Mercury means, and then the house, okay, I get this means, so this is where some things I'm going to be thinking about. You can kind of delineate those sort of things there. So you have way more power than you realize. Housekeeping is down in the description box below, but let me get you some prize cards here, so I can get you out of here. Oh, I dig it. Thanks to myself. So you have the Imagine card here. And I like this. Because this is the 20th card here too. That's Judgment card energy. But this Imagine card, the future, where you want things to go, is the imagination is a powerful thing. And I think that that's going to be something that I think we just want to realize, that like how powerful our imagination can be. I feel like we can sometimes limit ourselves so much. And now Saturn being in Pisces is wanting you to show maybe see where you've been, maybe not dreaming as big as you could be. Where you could imagine something more for yourself, where you're ready to move through some things, where some old dynamics are ready to die out and you're ready to grieve those things, take that mutable water in Pisces, move through those things so you can start a new beginning. And it may be uncomfortable at first. Saturn's going to come from this sea of Pisces and then go to a sign where he's in fall. You know, he comes into the new year just like, well, who turned on? It's like all the lights got turned on. So I was like, this is not even working. So that's going to be an interesting couple years when Saturn's in Aries. But it can be, when I say it can be interesting in that, like, there's just a bunch of wonders, and of course there may be, like we're saying with Sag, there may be misfortunes. There probably are going to be misfortunes, but there probably are going to be fortunes too, you know. And it's just like, I'm working towards fortune. I'm going every day expecting 10 of Pentacles. It may not come today, but I know it's going to come in divine timing. And if it's coming, if it didn't come exactly, if when I release expectations, I'm always abundant. You know, like this, I'm always, things are coming my way, and I feel like it's, you know, it helps. You know, I feel like it just helps you to see from a higher perspective, to help you to keep going, to keep tackling the day, to keep trying, you know, and to keep imagining a brighter tomorrow. You know, I feel with this Imagine card here. So just some things to think about. But until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that vibration through the roof. Seize the day and the night. Keep eyes on the moon. Did I say that? No, you never stop keeping eyes on the moon. She loves that. And I will get you on the next one. Jupiter Day.